All right, let's talk about United Airlines. Their latest earnings call for Q4 2025 was, honestly, a masterclass in sending a confident, bullish message. And you know what? The market loved it. So in this breakdown, we're going to dive into the key numbers, dissect their core strategy, and tell you exactly what we're looking for next quarter.
And when I say the market loved it, I mean it. The reaction was immediate. The stock popped over 2.3% right after the results came out. That's a super clear sign that investors were all in on what they heard, especially the forward guidance, which, believe me, we are going to get to in just a minute.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we'll hit the headline numbers. Then, we're going to get into management's core message, what they really wanted to get across. After that, we'll look at their guidance and outlook, touch on the key Q&A themes, and then we'll wrap it all up with our official take for the next call.
All right, first up, the headline beat. And what a beat it was. United really delivered some strong results here, especially considering the headwinds they were flying into during the quarter.
So the big number everyone was watching, adjusted earnings per share. It came in at a solid $3.10. And get this, they pulled that off even with a massive $250 million hit from the U.S. government shutdown. That right there, that shows you just how incredibly resilient their operations are.
Now, what were the analysts expecting? Well, the street was penciling in about $2.94. So yeah, United just sailed right over that hurdle by about 16 cents. That's a really solid outperformance, and it set a great positive tone for the rest of the call.
And it wasn't just on the earnings side. Check out the top line, a record $15.4 billion in revenue for the quarter. That's up almost 5% from last year and landed pretty much exactly where the analysts were predicting. Okay, let's move on to management's core message. Because this call wasn't just about throwing numbers at us, right? They were telling a story, and they basically framed the entire year as their proof point quarter.
Yeah, the CEO, Scott Kirby, he used that exact phrase, proof point. He said their whole strategy of building this airline around diverse revenue streams and, more importantly, brand-loyal customers, well, it isn't just working, he said it's remarkably resilient. And you can see it in the numbers. That focus is absolutely paying off.
So what's driving all this resilience? Well, think of it as two twin engines. First, you've got your premium cabin revenue. That's first class, business class. It surged 12% year over year. Then you've got their powerhouse loyalty program, MileagePlus. That jumped 10%. These are the golden geese, you know? They're high margin, super stable, and way less shaky when the economy gets bumpy. They're just decisively outperforming the rest of the business.
All right, now this next part. This is what really got the market excited. The guidance, the forward outlook for 2026. Management wasn't just playing it safe here. No, they confidently raised the bar for the whole year.
Okay, so just look at these numbers. For the first quarter, they're guiding to $1 to $1.50 in earnings. The street was only at $1.14, but the real headline is the full year. They're guiding to $12 to $14. The midpoint of that range is sitting comfortably above what all the analysts were expecting. That is a huge vote of confidence.
So after the main presentation, we got the Q&A session with the analysts. And this is where you really start to hear the important details, you know? The nuances, the challenges, the stuff they're really managing day to day.
And there were really four hot topics that just kept coming up. First, engine availability. That's a problem for the whole industry, not just United. Second, competition is getting fierce, especially in a major hub like Chicago. Third, they were pretty upfront about some weakness in the main cabin, you know, economy seats. And finally, they dropped some big hints about big plans to keep growing that powerhouse loyalty program.
Okay, that brings us to the final and maybe the most important part, the next call. This is our official prediction, right here from us at TalkTickers.
So, what are we calling for in Q1 2026? Where do we think this is all headed, based on everything we heard? We think they're going to beat, and not just beat, but beat the high end of their own guidance. We're projecting an adjusted EPS of $1.55. Now, why so bullish? Well, management themselves said business travel in January was off to a really compelling start. We think the market is underestimating that momentum. You add that to their tight operations and disciplined cost control, and it's a recipe for an outperformance. And if they deliver on that, we fully expect the stock to take another run at its recent intraday high, right around $114 a share.
So when you put it all together, the excellent call, the clear strategic execution, and that incredibly strong forward guidance, our rating on United Airlines is simple: outperform. And as always, our final reminder, this is not financial advice.